Hey, we are all live. So I'm here today to talk to you about the Krav Fit challenge, and it's going to run live in January 1st. It's 6 weeks of training, but I want to give you a bit more of the background on the 5 pillars, mostly because this is the first time that we'll do something that you can practice at home. Yes, and you can come in and practice at the studio as well. That's kind of how it is organized, how it is. It's prepared to for you to train the 5 pillars, and I'll talk about them in a moment. But the 5 pillars, well, at least the way that they are organized is this: you have the Krav Maga side of this, that is all the techniques that allow you to learn how to defend yourself. And since we have 6 weeks only, and 6 weeks just go, they fly really quickly. First week is definitely the first week of January, and you'll see that it starts on the first for an obvious reason. It's if you have objectives to conquer and really important things, you don't want to not start as early as possible. So even if you can start today, it's better. So that's the Krav Maga side. Then we have what we call a mindful nutrition plan. And we'll use what is pretty straightforward in terms of tools for nutrition. I, I truly believe that we know what is not good for us. It's pretty straightforward, right? You know that soda, we call it soda in the US, but having a certain type of diet, it's not conducive to objectives. I have a good story, and Mai is here, is one of our students, and she loves mac and cheese, okay? And the first time that she came to practice with us, she had mac and cheese. If I'm wrong in the mac and cheese, it was something similar. And she has like really tough spirit. But you can have tough spirit, and that helps a ton. It's her case. What doesn't help is if you run out of fuel, okay? Because even with the toughest mind in the world, if you run out of fuel, it's really hard. So having a mindful nutrition helps. Of course, you can practice. Many people do this. They train in the morning while they are fasting. There is good evidence that you can do that. Obviously, we can run. We can do a lot of things without having always to start bringing food and more food, and just try to bring the right things. Okay, and there is an easy way to bring the right things. It's not have the wrong things. That's an easy way. So we have the first part is Krav Maga. The second one is having a more balanced nutrition, and that we'll call it also consumption, because although we are now on our phones, on our laptops, on our iPads, whatever is the thing, it's also important to consume good things, cool things, cool things that are good for your health, and that's part of the mindful. I'm going to call it mindful nutrition. So if you got the 2 pillars over there, the third one is conditioning, and the easiest way to think about conditioning is it's a way to make you stronger with higher mobility levels. Just to be fair, I think stronger is a good word, okay? Because you'll be strong in the movement, you'll be strong from the physical side, and so we'll build that up as well. We'll build also up the conditioning side on your day to day, or on anyone's day to day. Having a set of, I'm going to call it minutes, not hours, allows you to do a lot of things. and if possible during the day. It's very straightforward. I use an app. I'm doing it. I like this thing of challenges. Why? Because they, without going on too much on a tangent, uh, challenges provide you a certain duration, not too much, where you can focus on your objectives. 30 days, 6 weeks. Is it enough to build an habit? It depends. It does depend on who you are and what's your story and where you want to get into. 30 days is good. We are doing 6 weeks with 1 week of warm up and 1 week and the last week of transition. So you'll have enough time to build the habit and bring and do a better 2024. So that's pillar number three. Okay. Um, Pillar number four, it's community. Why community? Because of, and I'll tell you from my point of view. Okay, from my side, I've always found hard to train by myself, alone. Train alone, it's really hard because either it's too cold or too hot or whatever, or didn't sleep well the night before, or didn't have enough food. There are a ton of excuses. But when you have someone that you need to take care of, or someone or a place that you need to go and train with, that thing changes the game. At least for me. And believe me, I well, you don't need to believe me, but I do know enough people from my competition times where they would be machines. Okay, they would be able to train without no one, guys, no one knowing, being on their tail, or no one to be accountable that can help on the accountability side. So our community is highly supportive, and they will be your accountability partners because you know that on these days, we'll talk about the mechanics of the challenge. On the days that you need to train, it's good to have someone to get into, and I see that practice very, I would say, always, either because you walk into practice and there is someone that you know, there is a good partner or a bad partner. What I mean by a bad partner is this: it's sometimes you train with someone that is not yet ingrained in the game. It's not yet didn't build the routines, and we pull ourselves back, or we push ourselves. So sometimes there is a need from the coach side, or even let's say from the student to say, okay, this person is going too hard. I'll go less hard. The most important part is that you are both able to train. When you are doing, I'm going to say, activities that do not have interaction, grabs, pulls, pushes, anything like that. So the interaction is the smell, okay, or the clove, or the positioning, or the movement around you. But when you are doing something in martial arts where, I'm gonna say this, but real martial arts, okay, real self-defense, where you have interaction with someone, then that partner is important. Okay, it's really really important because that's the person that allows you to grow. Okay, that's the person that will give you feedback. And I have a ton of stories when I didn't had good partners, or probably I was not the good partner as well. Now that I think about that, so it could be a combination of both. So I'm got the fourth pillar over there, and the fifth pillar that it's outside. I'm going to say outside of the realm of my competence. That's why I've handed over that to Coach Anna Joe. The fifth pillar is done by Anna Joe. Okay, and she will be joining us in a couple of other lives, and you will so you will see how coaching can effectively change our life, or can help on the transition to other further objectives. And the reason why we took this decision to bring the coaching inside the program, it's because I've seen kind of of the power of using that pillar. We were in St. Kitts and Nevis training the new instructors in there, the new Krav Maga instructors, and Joe, that's my wife and the coach in the program. She did a session with each one of them, each one of the new students and trainers. And besides the fact that a new instructor, a new person that is training Krav Maga, but to train others, needs to be proficient at the technique, there is something really important. It's the ability to perform across a long time, really, guys, a long time. How do you perform across a long time? Ensuring that one, you show up every day. Two, you understand when you show up what's the purpose of what you are doing there. And three, you avoid being affected by the fact that sometimes you've got two students, sometimes you've got 20, and you always think, always, well, at least from my side, well, where is person X, Y, or Z? And sometimes that goes into the mind, that goes into the mind of the instructor, that is, you start focus on who you don't have there, but instead of focus on who you have there. So that goes deeply into to mindset training, and Coach Anna Joe will get you into that mindset. In particular for the challenge, why is that important? Because over the course, so I'll repeat before we, because over the course of the 6 weeks challenge, you will ask yourself many times, why am I training? Why am I getting up in the morning? Why why am I eating this? Why am I, and and besides the fact that you'll have the phone to get there and check the workout and do this, you need to do it. So getting back to that why will be fundamental. The tools will be used by Coach and Joe. You guys get ready, okay? Because it most likely gonna change the way that you approach training and the months before. Not only training, but then it kind of goes outside. So the 5 pillars are Krav Maga, because we all need to learn how to defend ourselves, either we like it or not. Um, Even if I say something from the woke world, where not the woke world, but the world where people one day will definitely just their arguments based on concepts and based on what's the best. I'm going to say the best possible logical solution. Physical violence still exists, okay, and Krav Maga, besides whatever you're going to talk about and see about and do next, is one of the best systems to deal and handle with that. You do need to practice, okay, that's very important. So that's one side, okay. The second side that we talked about is a mindful nutrition plan that goes to putting guardrails and definitions on what we'll talk about food, because you lose weight. That's the reality. You lose. We are aiming at least for everyone to lose 3 kilos, 6 pounds. Okay, but that's going to be fun. Just following some simple rules of what to do. The third part regarding the practice, it's the conditioning plans. And although we need to focus on the physicality, the exercises, getting understanding how to move if someone attacks you and or you need to attack. Being strong is good. Being fit is good. Okay, that's very direct. And I, I had many instances where, in my career as an athlete, I could be better. Okay, and I know that whenever I was at the top of my peak, at the top of my competition career, physically fit, that thing was unstoppable. Okay, well, in still on the terms that it allowed me to win the national championships in Portugal many times, to do the internationals and to the Europeans and the World Cups. The time that I felt worse was when I effectively didn't take care of myself because my conditioning went really down. I would still maintain some notions of the technique and the timing, but the conditioning is really important. It's it's important because it will help you in so many things. Okay, and we'll talk about at the end of these of the mechanics of the challenge, but think about conditioning as well. And there is a very good article that I brought today to the live, regarding the regarding physical activity and think about this as general physical activity, and in particular muscle strengthening activities for adults. And it's just brutal. Just working out twice, guys, working out twice a week. Gonna call it lifting weights. In our case, lifting weights will be anything that has more to do with the grappling side, with the close contact where you need to push or pull. So it has you need to have that resistance so that it mimics the load, so that the study will help. That's enough to increase your lifespan for a lot. And already, what were the new findings? Essentially, what are the new findings from this study? Most muscle strengthening activities were associated with a 10 to 17% lower risk of total cancer, diabetes, lung cancer, and all-cause mortality, independent of the aerobic activities among adults. What about that? So if you didn't have a good cause to train, it's just brutal, right? The maximum risk reduction for all-cause mortality and total cancer was obtained at approximately 30 to 60 minutes per week of muscle strengthening activities. And the risk of diabetes sharply decreased until 60 minutes per week of muscle strengthening activities, followed by a gradual decrease. So you don't need to work that much, you need to not to train that much, but you do need to train. So if you don't have that in your routine, and it's specific in here because you can do lower based training activities. Think about, in our case, shadow boxing or light exercises and going that in higher intensities. But if you follow this, follow the protocol, and we'll follow very similar protocol in our challenge. So we talked about the conditioning and some of the proof that this thing works and why is it important. Um, so that's the third pillar. The fourth pillar, it's the community. And in the community, I want to emphasize that we'll do the sessions, and we'll record the sessions so that we have access to them and you can train. I use that, to be fair, a lot for myself. When I train in the morning, sometimes I like to go into the phone and go into one of the courses and let me do a session on this. And that just changes because you do a follow along, and the follow along sometimes could be faster, slower, but it allows you to maintain a certain pace of training. If a session is like 20 minutes, for example, you get enough good workout to wake up and to do that piece of the movement that we've just talked about. Okay, so you will build the community both at the studio or online. Okay, or in this case online, we'll have the Zoom going out. I, of course, we all went to the Zoom times, and we still are, but it does work. Okay, it does work better when we are at the studio. And then the fifth pillar that we talked about, that was introduced right now, that was introduced as we've been trying it in the last years, it's coaching. Okay, Anna Joe is a life coach, and she will help weekly, in the sessions, each one of you, as we move along. I have an offer for all of you guys that want to join the challenge. I'll put this in the chat as we finish this. Just click in there. If you are listening to this, it's because you are interested. Because you most likely think about how can I integrate a new thing in my life, and what will be the benefits. We talked about these of the overall benefits from the literature and from my experience are, I would say, extensive. They can effectively change the way that you approach the next year, getting into better health. If you're having a challenge on what to eat or a challenge on what to train and when, this will summarize that and help on that. So yes, these five pillars are what I believe are the best possible combination to change things. Okay. Are there other things? Yes, there are many other things. But picking up yourself and driving yourself during these 6 weeks into the challenge and making it count for you and for all the ones that you care, it's going to be pretty impressive. Okay, and I look forward to work with each one of you. If you have questions, it's pretty straightforward. Both me and Coach Anna Joe, we are on social media channels and can help around with this. I want to share Before we end, I want to share the link to the research that talks about the level of physical activity, the integration of all these factors in your training life, in your life, in order to have a better life. It's something that I haven't seen studied enough. I know the studies exist for each one of the parts, and we know that for Krav Maga, we know that for community, we know that, but the integration of all of them is something like the blue zones. That's something that we can talk about later. If you want to pick up that and you already have an idea that you want to learn how to defend yourself and improve your life, you want to improve the way that you follow your objectives. That's true. The new year is coming. January is a time where people put a lot of things in, put a lot of effort, and then sometimes it decreases. So we're going to find a way to avoid the decrease rate. This is the thing for you. Okay. Most of all, important to be here, to stay active, and to enjoy things. And remember three things. Okay. You train, you grow, you protect. Enjoy.